The rise and fall of DC Solar. Jeff knew that to keep his scheme alive, he needed a new influx of cash. DC Solar had been skimming off tax money from the American people for a while, but the time had come to make the scheme truly sustainable. Jeff needed new investors, ones who could be tricked into believing in the promise of high returns. His plan was simple: take money from new investors to pay off the old ones. To make this work, he relied on a web of lies. Jeff showed every investor fabricated data, painting a picture of soaring demand for solar generators. Generators were supposedly flying off the shelf, but in reality, they were simply being moved from one place to another without any real purpose, just to create the illusion of a bustling, thriving business. To investors, it seemed like DC Solar was booming, with constant shipments and deliveries. They were convinced this was a profitable venture and eagerly poured more money into it. But behind the scenes, it was all smoke and mirrors. Jeff even swindled a shell company out of $76 million using the same deceptive tactics. When the Internal Revenue Service, IRS, began to investigate DC Solar in 2014, the company's legal team expertly deflected the inquiry, keeping the scam alive. The entire organization had turned into a well-oiled machine of deceit, convincing investors that the business was flourishing. In truth, not a single generator was actually being sold. Jeff continued his search for bigger investors, focusing on companies with deep pockets. Despite not generating any real revenue from product sales, DC Solar was flush with cash from unwitting investors. Fortune seemed to smile on Jeff when Valley National Bank expressed interest in purchasing $7.6 million worth of solar equipment. The bank sought a list of companies leasing solar generators, and DC Solar's name appeared on that list. The documentation falsely claimed that DC Solar's generators were leased out 80% of the time, while the actual figure was closer to 5%. Valley National Bank fell victim to this ruse, joining the ranks of deceived investors. Jeff's next target was Geico, a branch of Berkshire Hathaway, owned by Warren Buffett, one of the wealthiest men in the world. It seemed improbable that such a large, reputable company could be duped, but Jeff was cunning. He bribed an employee from a major telecommunications firm, T-Mobile, to sign a forged document stating that T-Mobile was leasing 1,000 generators from DC Solar for the next 10 years. With a big name like T-Mobile on their client list, DC Solar seemed legitimate and lucrative to other companies. Trust came easily. Geico signed a 3-year agreement to purchase 8,000 generators for $1.2 billion. At first, this deal appeared profitable, as it promised a 30% return over the previous year. Geico was also saving $377 million in taxes. However, in reality, their money was being used to pay returns and lease payments to earlier investors. Meanwhile, Jeff was living lavishly. He bought countless villas, over 100 cars, and even a private jet. DC Solar's name became widely known, its logo appearing on cars and in advertisements. It seemed like nothing could stop Jeff, until fate intervened. A whistleblower from within DC Solar exposed the company, prompting investigations by the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI. Jeff was arrested, and the fraud unraveled. Investigations revealed that Jeff had been running a Ponzi scheme under the guise of selling generators. He was taking money from new investors to pay off the old ones, a strategy that can only work for so long. Once the stream of new investors dried up, the scheme collapsed. It turned out Jeff had manufactured 177,000 solar generators, on paper only. Investors were fooled into believing in the existence of these generators with fake GPS trackers that supposedly showed them operating in the market. The truth was, those GPS devices were buried in the ground at random locations. On November 9, 2021, Jeff and his wife were sentenced to prison, along with 5 other individuals involved in the scheme. The story of DC Solar serves as a stark reminder of how greed and deception can lead to ruin. Thank you for watching this video from Deep Break. We appreciate your support and look forward to seeing you in the next exciting and thrilling video.